Good evening, good evening, good evening. I've got a mark on my cardi. It's annoying, isn't it? Well, we have to put up with it now. Hello. It's like some kind of dust. I'm annoyed. I've got a mark on my cardigan. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Bear with. I'm just going to change my cardigan because it's got a mark on it. Look, and that's going to annoy me the whole way. Hi, everybody. Bear with. I'll be back in 2 seconds. The joy of live television. I can have a costume change. Hello, hi everybody. How are you all doing? Are you excited for Vetiver? Hi Hayley, hi Gavin, Gavin the Menace. Hi Evelina, hi Judy, hi Claire, hi Zinnia, hi Kirsten, hi Sue, hi Pat. Hi everybody. Hi Julie, hi Martha, hi Hayley. Hi everybody. It's good to see you all. Feels like it's been a while. I've jigged around my shelf. You can see I've got a whole like Prada Infusions sort of celebration section here. Which includes the new vanilla that they have done, which is insanely good. But we're not here to talk about vanilla. We're here to talk about Vetivers. Excited to find out what B is. Sue thinks this is going to be expensive. Thank you all for your lovely birthday messages last week, by the way. Very much appreciated that. That was a nice thing to receive on my 27th birthday. I have sniffed the Lang, the Ylang, and I did like it. I would have bought it, but they only had the Ylang as a tester there, and I wanted to try the vanilla to see which one I liked the most. And I did find the vanilla in John Lewis, and I blind bought it. But I probably will get the Ylang as well. I probably will go out and get the Ylang. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I think it'll be great for summer. It's very, it's quite green. It's quite, I don't know, like a little sherbety, and it's very, very fresh, refreshing. So lovely. The vanilla is much more softer and warmer and a little bit boozy, kind of woody, cedary kind of vanilla. It's only 28 people so far. That's not very many. Normally we get more than that. We'll wait a few minutes. So how have you found Vetiver? Have you loved Vetiver? Have you loved it? Have you hated it? What have you thought about Vetiver? Tell me your thoughts. I'm keen to know. Yes, I thought you might, Kirsten. I thought you might. Right, I don't know if anyone from Escentual is here. Let us see. I cannot see them. We might be going rogue. Guys. Gavin loved the box. Good, good. I do it just for you, Gavin. Literally. Susan's like this. Brilliant. Kirsten likes Vetiver. Good, good. Yes, I agree. Less overtly feminine, but still kind of quite unisex in a way. I think there's a lot of these that you can wear either masculine or feminine, but yeah, it's more traditionally masculine. Been enjoying it. Sitting in the grass whilst also smelling grassy. We love it. Hi, Rich. Hello. Now, last time I spoke to Chelsea, she said she would come on the live next time. So if she's here today, she's coming on the live with us. She's got no choice. That's good. I definitely think, Adele, there's been less kind of polarising reactions to this box. Which is interesting, because I would have thought, you know, some Vetivers can be a little bit tough to get on with. But actually, I think mostly they're all very, very accessible, these fragrances. So, does anyone have a favourite from the box? I'll get going in a minute. I just want to get people get an opportunity to come, and we'll get going. What's the time? Oh, I can't see on there what we're doing. Let me look on my clock a bit. Oh, 8 minutes past. Okay, we'll give it 2 minutes and then we'll get going. Yeah, so any favourites from the box, let me know. Vetiver is actually probably one of my favourite materials. When I could have, with the number of Vetivers that I have, I probably have done 2 or 3 boxes, I reckon. Because I have quite a few. I wear it a lot. Okay, B's getting a lot of love. Mentioned a few people mentioned B. E and G. Interesting. That just makes me wonder if I've got G and F the wrong way around in front of me. I think I might do, you know. Yes. F and G need to switch. Just so I don't reveal the wrong ones in the wrong order. Oh, okay, so Monica says, it confirmed that Vetiver is not for me, but the one you found one gem. C and H, E, D was your favourite, B, but they're all very nice in different ways. Oh, interesting. Really interesting. Okay, should we get going now? Because I know you're all keen to find out what is what. So welcome to the live Vetiver reveal. Hello, hi, how are you doing? Tonight what we're going to do is talk a bit about Vetiver fragrances and what makes them smell the way they do. We'll even talk a bit about the history and kind of olfactory context of the theme, and then we'll go through each of the fragrances A to H, kind of speedily, to talk about your views on them, what you think of them, why we picked them, and what do they particularly showcase about the theme. And then we'll tell you what they are, so you can go off and get them if you want to. Let's jump right in. Remember, there is no right or wrong. If you smell it, it's there, so you describe it in whatever way makes sense to you. If it smells, I don't know, like Play-Doh to you, then that's right. It might not have a Play-Doh note in it, but if that's what it smells like to you, then that's right. So this is a very open space. People can say what they want, as long as it's mostly flattering about me. I don't take to criticism very well. Okay, so let's talk about Vetiver. So Vetiver, I think, is a really fascinating material. It's wonderfully complex with a vast and very nuanced olfactory profile that can be earthy and rooty and dark, but also quite citrusy and fresh and clean as well. I think what's also really interesting about it is it's a material that many of us living in the UK and from the Western world have no specific reference point for, because it's not something that grows here. It's not something that we use culturally or in tradition. So actually, when you smell Vetiver fragrances, it's quite abstract. And that's largely why we try and do these boxes, because I think, you know, for rose, for example, we all know what the smell of a rose is. So you've got some way of kind of anchoring a rose note or a rose fragrance to the real world. You can say, this smells like this because it's real to me. I know what a rose smells like. Vetiver is much more abstract. You know, unless you've smelled Vetiver materials or smelled Vetiver itself, you're not necessarily going to know what that means. And that's why I think it's really important to kind of move away from talking about notes specifically and talking about things like textures and colors and sounds and feels, because I think you know where things feel and emotions and things like that, because I think that makes it much more relatable for people. So yes, Vetiver is not something we encounter over here in our everyday lives. It's a perennial fragrant grass that's native to India, but also grows in other places around the world, and most notably in Haiti. And in Haiti, I think it's one of their biggest exports. It has several traditional uses in medicines and in ceremonies, but due to its unique odour, it has become a staple of modern perfumery, predominantly masculine perfumery. But what does it smell like? Well, that's a very interesting question. If you smell the grass itself, it's very earthy and damp, with sweetness that's sort of hard to pin down and describe. The materials extracted from Vetiver smell a little different, as is often the case. They can be grassy, they can be green, they can be earthy, rooty, they can even be salty and spicy, they can have like a mineral facet, but they can also have kind of a citrus edge. A lot of the materials smell like grapefruit. There's licorice, there's spice, there's smoke, there's a nutty kind of oaty character. It's incredibly varied and versatile. So when you smell grapefruit, I'm thinking about grapefruit, that's why I'm going to get there, Vetiver, you can smell so many different things in it. And I always use the example of one material, which is called vetiviryl acetate, which is extracted from Vetiver. And that smells perfectly like Vetiver and grapefruit, just like the complete Venn diagram of those two things. That's why my brain went straight to grapefruit. Apologies, ADHD brain. That's how my brain works. things just tumble out of my mouth. So I think that's a really, really beautiful vetiver material, and it just shows how actually it's so varied. It can smell like earth and grass and dryness, but also it can have this wonderfully refreshing character. And if you wanted to smell vetiver acetate, which I think is a really beautiful material, the easiest way for you to do that is go and get yourself a bottle of Molecule 03 from Eccentric Molecules. This fragrance, as you can tell I wear quite a lot, is just one material. It's just vetiver acetate in alcohol. God, my brain is not working today. In alcohol. It's not a synthetic material. It's actually extracted from vetiver. I don't believe there are actually any synthetic vetiver materials. That's interesting, isn't it? And this is that smell. It's grapefruit and vetiver, and it's beautiful. It gives you an idea of what vetiver material can smell like. So you can go buy that. I love that. It's great stuff. That's the Molecule 03, not the Eccentric 03. Do they still do the vetiver pomme de balls from L'Artisan? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they only do the amber and the Provence, which is like the lavender one, and occasionally they do the Muet Musc, kind of like a nice cassis one, but not now. So vetiver is incredibly varied and versatile, and it's a beautiful material that I think you can see in this box can be used in so many different ways. So let's just go and jump right in. Ask questions as we go. Send emojis, tell us how you feel about the fragrances, if you love them, if you hate them. Nobody's precious about this. If you love a fragrance and someone else hates it, that doesn't matter. We're all different. We all have different tastes. None of us made these perfumes, so we don't need to get upset about it. Okay, let's go for fragrance A. So, fragrance A, I'm calling the green vetiver, which is a colour I think you would mostly associate with vetiver. Yes, and I am going to be doing the dodgy thing today, which is when I'm spraying from the bottles, which means I'm going to have to try and not reveal them. We do not want a Dylan Blue scenario again. So let's spray A. If this was a celebrity, who would it be, is my question to you. Let me know in the chat. So, why did we pick this fragrance? We think we picked this because it's a new launch, which I think is something exciting to start with. But it showcases the fresh green facets of vetiver. It's really beautiful. It's so gorgeous, this is. It's so refreshing. What I like about this is it's kind of that juicy green, isn't it? It's like you've got this wonderful, beautiful, like palm leaf filled with water. It's really kind of like you want to splash it in your face and just refresh yourself. So it's kind of got that jungly feel to it. A little bit herbal. It's got a beautiful citrus facet up top, which is very, very sparkly, very, very bright. And then it goes sort of very floral musky, but very clean, almost like cottony. And it's just really, really beautiful. And I think the vetiver itself is kind of hidden in this. I wouldn't say, normally we start our boxes with this is a fragrance that smells exactly like vetiver. But we didn't do that with this. We tried to sort of mix it up a little bit. So the vetiver's hidden a little bit, but it gives you that lovely herbal greenness in the background. Oh, I love this. Chris Packham, Goldie Hawn. A is the citrus green grapefruit vetiver. It was great in Seville and 45 degrees. Oh, I bet it was perfect. But it was the only thing that cut through the heat. Because there is a lovely sharpness to this as well, isn't there? Like a kind of leafy sharpness. Julie says it made a nose stitch. We don't want that. Yeah. So that is the wonderful, wonderful A. Does anyone know what it is? Has anybody guessed? I'm just plugging myself into charge. I feel very disorganised this evening. I'm going to sort this out right at the beginning. Bear with. I've had to change my top. Plug myself in. Okay, good. Michelle, you're forgiven for being late. So a few people saying it made them itchy and sneezing. I think that's because it's got quite a lot of floral notes in it, actually. There's also something a little bit figgy in here. A little bit juicy, figgy, greeny. Okay, let's reveal it. Fragrance A is from GUERLAIN. It is Aqua Allegoria Nerolia Vetiver. This is their latest Aqua Allegoria. The Aqua Allegorias are kind of, when they first started, I think they've kind of repositioned it now to be more of a kind of sustainable, natural line. I don't think the fragrances are fully natural. Not that that matters, because synthetic and natural doesn't necessarily mean better. But they've kind of repositioned it. But before they were meant to be very simple, kind of more youth inspired, so sort of at a lower price point, easy to wear summer fragrances that are kind of simple in their presentation, inspired by natural materials. So very much feeling like a garden vibe. And the idea behind it was it's a collection that kind of comes and goes. So they have fragrances that they do sort of do 2 a year at least. So they tend to do one that's kind of like a general release and one that tends to be travel retail, but they seem to be doing more than that now. And the lovely thing about them is they're so ephemeral in the sense that they're very light fragrances, but also they come and go from the collection, which is incredibly frustrating when you fall in love with one. I've had a few over the years. There was a beautiful Lily, Lis Soleil, which was absolutely gorgeous that they discontinued. And then I think there's a Ginger Picante, which I don't know if they still do, but you can kind of get it around. And the Coconut Fizz was really, really cool as well. I never got some of that, but that's a really cool. So they come and go. So this one's a lovely, beautiful take on Nerolia, which is a floral note, and which is very sunny, very fresh, very juicy, and then Vetiver, which gives it that greenness. And what's lovely about these, your fragrance fact for this, is that these are now refillable, which is, I think, quite good. Good for sustainability. We should have more refillable bottles. So that's Aqua Allegoria from Aqua Allegoria Nerolia Vetiver Eau de Toilette by GUERLAIN. Came out this year, and it's £70 and 55 pence for a 75ml Eau de Toilette, going all the way up to £94 and 35 pence for a 125ml Eau de Toilette. There you go. That's fragrance A. I know, Kirsten, I still have sad about Lace Layer. I do have some actually. But I don't, you know when you have a fragrance where it's kind of it's discontinued and you've only got like half a bottle left and you just don't want to use it. It does get very floral, I agree, Cheryl. So, further sniffing for this one. When I smelt this, it instantly reminded me of another fragrance, which is from Jo Malone London, which is Basil and Neroli. A very, very similar vibe. I would say this is a little bit greener, a little bit more towards the green side, the herbalness. You get a dryness of the basil, whereas the Nerolia Vetiver, I guess, gives you more of that juicy, fresh sparkle. So if you like the Nerolia Vetiver and you're looking for something a little bit greener, then I would say the Basil and Neroli is a very good substitute. So that's your further sniffing if you want to explore a little bit more. Okay, that was fragrance A. So fragrance A, just as a recap, Aqua Allegoria Nerolia Vetiver by GUERLAIN. There you go. I can't type it in the chat because then you'd see me doing this and that would be attractive. Let's do fragrance B. I can't believe we're on to B already. I mean, we are only 21 minutes into this. I've got to speak faster. No, I shouldn't speak faster. I'm calling this the Zingy Vetiver. This was the one that I think a lot of people were quite keen to find out what it is. And we picked this fragrance. Well, I want to give you some kind of really clever reason about why we picked this fragrance, because it's a very novel sort of zingy take on fragrance that blends on Vetiver blends it with a really unique material, ginger, that works so well together. That's not really the reason. I will tell you, it's because it's my favourite Vetiver and also my most worn Vetiver. It's as simple as that. I love this fragrance. I wear it all the time. I've gone through numerous bottles. If they ever discontinue it, I will be gluing myself to the headquarters of this brand. Lots of people are talking at you. This is very annoying. I think if people are talking at you whilst you're watching your Essential Scents, you should kick those people out. Okay, B. So, if it was a holiday destination, where would it be? Tell me in the chat. So, I think this is really, really, really gorgeous. It's got the lovely green herbal dry grassiness of Vetiver, but up top you've got this juicy, wonderful ginger note mixed in with like things like lime and bergamot. And there's a sort of rosiness there in the background. It has a soapy quality to it, which I think is really beautiful and works so, so well. And so it kind of gives you that luxury, high-end kind of hotel soap. I just think it's so beautiful. And it's honestly one of my all-time favourite Vetiver fragrances. It's just so good. I just want to keep smelling it. So where are we saying it? Valencia, like lying in an orange grove in the sunshine, maybe Tuscany. So many scents in one. Yeah, it's very complex and mouthy. Sarah's going to lock herself in the bathroom. I think it's a great idea. Old books and orange, the librarian is having a glass of OJ. Is it a handsome librarian? That's what I want to know. Eccentric 2. Okay, interesting. I haven't smelled Eccentric 2 in quite a while. It's kind of it's Ambroxan, isn't it? So it's very fresh, kind of iris, powdery, woody, clean. Interesting. Barley. Oh, yeah, there's definitely something very exotic about it, I think. So, this is a wonderful, I suppose I get this is almost to me kind of like a cologne-like vetiver. It feels very lightweight and fresh and perfect for summer, but also there's a really nice kind of well-dressed vibe about it. It feels very well put together. It feels like you need to wear it with like, you know, a white shirt or, you know, something, you know, like a nice summer dress or something. It just feels smart. I think it's really, really beautiful. I love this fragrance. And I'm going to tell you what it is. This fragrance is, are you ready, are you ready? From Prada, it is the Infusion Vetiver by Prada. This came out in 2010 by Prada's perfumer Danielle Andre, and it is £96 and 5 pence for 100ml Eau de Parfum. It is really, really gorgeous. It is my favourite vetiver. That's all I can say, really. I just love it, and I love the lovely green. Susan says, you'll try and watch later as I'm at ITU at Southampton with my daughter after open heart surgery. Oh no, Susan, I hope she's okay. No, that's fine, Susan. If now's not the time to watch, then now's not the time. You can always watch later, and I hope your daughter gets well soon. Sending lots of love and good vibes your way. And I'm sure everybody else is going to do that in the chat, send you some good vibes. The fragrance fact then, this was originally launched as a duo with a tuberose infusion, which I'm hoping they will bring back, because as you can tell, I do love my Prada infusions. And it came in a really lovely bottle with like a geometric pattern on the paper, and they reworked it for the collection in 2010 when they relaunched it. I think it's just wonderful. Such a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So, fragrance B is Infusion Vetiver by Prada. Lovely. The soapiness in this is what gets me. And also, I'm a sucker for anything with a ginger note. It's just so refreshing. I love it. Your further sniffing, and the reason you'll be probably thinking there's a glaring omission in this box that we haven't included the most famous vetiver of all time. And the reason why we haven't done that is because we did it in our green box last year, and that was our first box. So that's like February last year. Can you believe that we started this that long ago? But I would say if you want some more zingy, fresh, green, very smart, kind of well-dressed, elegant vetiver, if you liked the Infusion Vetiver, I would say the GUERLAIN vetiver. This is the classic, the reference vetiver. Smells just so handsome, and so it's got that soapiness, it's got that kind of, it's got a little bit more of the vetiver kind of front and centre. I think it's got a bit more rootiness to it, a little bit more spice, a little bit more grapefruit than sort of citrus ginger type, but lovely. The Infusion Vetiver is £96 and 5 pence for 100ml Eau de Parfum. Your further sniffing is the GUERLAIN vetiver because it's the classic. Right, great. Let's move on. Fragrance C. Fragrance C. Fragrance C. I need a test strip for Fragrance C. So Fragrance C, if it was a dessert, what dessert would it be? It's an interesting question for this one because I don't think it's very desserty, but I'm intrigued to see what you would think. So we picked this one because it showcases the smokier side of vetiver. So we're calling it the smoky vetiver. And it really is smoky. It's quite smoky. It's almost like somebody has just set fire to some vetiver grass that's nice and dry and then blown it out, and it's just gently smouldering in the background. The GUERLAIN vetiver does have a new bottle now. You're right, Ben. And I really like those new bottles. They've repackaged all of the masculine fragrances so that they are in more like square-like bottles like this. They've repackaged all the male GUERLAINs and they look fantastic. The Abbot Rouge looks great in that red. So, yes. Thanks for spotting that, Ben. Something with roasted nuts. Totally get that going. Toasted hazelnuts, praline. Yeah, it's got that oatiness, that nuttiness, that warmth. It's beautiful. So, anything else on the desserts? Just that it's a delight and that it's very, very nice. So this, what does this smell like? What does it smell like? That's a very good question. It's very, very complex. So you've got, I suppose the vetiver is there and it's in the centre, but it's more on the nutty, warm side. You're not getting not so much that freshness. There is kind of like a little bit of a crackly spice up top and a little bit of bergamot just to give it like a flashy like freshness, but also get a lot of cardamom as well. But it's quite ambery as well. What I like about this fragrance is you've got this kind of sort of like vanilla thing in the background that's not too prominent, but it just kind of makes it feel a little bit kind of richly textured. Like it would be kind of, if it was a texture, it would almost be like the texture of clay. And if it was a colour, it would kind of be somewhere, do you know, if it was a colour, it would be this colour, wouldn't it? That kind of like taupe or taupe, that kind of colour. So like an elegant brown. And it's just so smoky without being too leathery, I find. Yeah, I can totally see the Vetiver Tonka vibes there. That's an MS fragrance. I do have that obviously because I love Vetiver. And I do love that. It's beautiful in winter. And milkshakey vanilla. Totally get that, Gavin. That's a brilliant description. It's creamy, isn't it? It's creamy, it's smoky, but what I love about this is everything you describe, you know, used to describe this fragrance could make you think it is super, super heavy, but it's actually not. And I've been wearing this quite a lot over the last couple of days, kind of last week or so, when it's been quite warm. It doesn't feel like it's out of place in the heat, which I think is really, really, really interesting and beautiful. It's also got lovely mossiness in it as well. Shall I tell you what it is? I'm going to, whether you want me to or not. So this is the first time in a while, guys. I think we haven't had one for a while, but it is the Miller Harris in the box. It is Vetiver Insolent by Miller Harris. This came out in 2016. It is by the wonderful perfumer Mathieu Nardin, who you all know I love, and I love Miller Harris because I'm always sneaking them into the boxes. You can get this for £35 for a 14 milliliter eau de parfum, and it goes all the way up to a 100 ml eau de parfum for £115. This is the 50 ml, which I think is about £85. And it is, what I like about this fragrance, your fragrance fact, is that it's actually inspired by the traditional cultural use of vetiver, one of which being the summer tradition of weaving vetiver roots into a curtain, and you place it at a window and then it gets drenched in water to cool and scent the air. So I think it's a really, really wonderful kind of inspiration behind that fragrance, is taking it from its traditional roots and giving it, you know, some sort of modern meaning. I think it's a really, really beautiful fragrance. Wonderful. So that is Vetiver Insolent. I really love this. Really love it. So good. From Miller Harris. Yeah, Gavin and Pat, you guessed it. Of course you did. So your further sniffing, if you want a warm, nutty, smoky vetiver, then I'm going to show you one that has a rather unusual name. This is Fat Electrician. That's right. Fat Electrician, the Semi-Modern Vetiver by Etat Libre d'Orange. And it's kind of about the idea of faded beauty. Like the story is this guy was a really, really beautiful man, and then he turned into a fat electrician from Queens, I think is from the ad copy. Very weird. But this has not so much the smoky aspect of the Vetiver Insolent. It's not quite as tarry as that. It's a little bit more in the background, but you've still got a lot of that kind of resinous warmth, like that vanilla. There's myrrh, and it's kind of really ambery. It's absolutely beautiful. So that is a good one to look up if you are interested in that style of vetiver. That's Fat Electrician by Etat Libre d'Orange. Such a cool brand and bottle and name. So there you go. That's your further sniffing if you are into that. Oh, it's so good. So good. I'm covered in all sorts of things today. Right. There, we're on to D. Halfway through. Halfway through, and we're just at the halfway mark. That's good, isn't it? So let's do. Best thing ever was when you're wearing Fat Electrician and someone asks you what you're wearing, and you go, I'm wearing Fat Electrician, and then they give you a look as if to say, don't talk to that man, he's a psychopath. I used to wear that quite a bit just so I could say the name to people and watch them look horrified. Brilliant. Gavin and Marie, you are cut from the same cloth. So that's a warm, nutty, smoky vetiver. I feel like it's in the same place in my brain as the Vetiver Insolent, which was fragrance C, but perhaps not quite as smoky. Right, let's move on to fragrance D. What do you all think of fragrance D? I think this one's a bit of a wild card. And if it was a superhero, what superhero would it be? Just going to take a sip of my drink while you think about that. Let's do fragrance D. Lovely spritz. Thought I could see a face behind me. Strange. Milky green figs, says Kirsten. Interesting. Yeah, I get that. It's definitely milky, it's definitely green, it's definitely figgy. I think this is a really lovely modern masculine. So we picked this fragrance because it shows the woodier side of Vetiver, and I think it's nice to see Vetiver in a woody context because it's actually technically classified as a woody note. And this fragrance kind of, again, puts it more in the background, and you'll see this a lot throughout. There are kind of a few of these fragrances that I would say are very Vetiver forward. The most Vetiver forward I would say are B and C. So the Prada and the Miller Harris. I would say those are the two that are most like, I can smell Vetiver in those. The rest, I would say, are more about how Vetiver is used really as an accent. And I think that's really important because in perfumery, it is often used as an accent rather than front and centre because it's so bold. So it's such a distinct odour. And sometimes people aren't kind of into, the smell of Vetiver. If you don't like Vetiver, you're not going to like a fragrance. So that smells of it. So it's a bit soapy. So SpongeBob SquarePants, he's a superhero, right? He can be in this world, Gavin. Groot, Wolverine, goes figgy then coconutty, quite floral but citrusy. Green Lantern, lovely. I love these ideas. I love where your brain's going, people. I love it. So it smells. I'm going to struggle to find a better description than milky green figs, but that is what it is. It is that. It's kind of got this lovely creaminess to it. It's that kind of like sandalwoody vibe, that Santal 33 Le Labo kind of like fresh, clean woodiness. A little bit creamy. I would say you get a little bit more greenery here, a little bit more pininess. The Vetiver kind of links that all together, I think. Gives it a kind of a little bit of an anise, like licorice vibe in the background. It's very clear and airy as well. That's what I like about it. Lots of grass. Yeah, it is so grassy, isn't it? Very grassy. I think it's a really, really nicely done fragrance. And it launched last year, so it's relatively new. And it's one of those like super cool brands, Like, too cool for me. Like, I would never wear their clothes because I would walk into the shop and they'd be like, no, you need to leave, sir. And I'd go, okay, thank you, I understand. Do you want to know what it is? I don't know why I asked that question. Obviously, you always do. Okay. This fragrance is fragrance D. We're coming to the last fragrance of the first half. Oh, Tam says it's least favourite. Fair enough. It is Moncler Pour Homme Eau de Parfum. It came out in 2021. It is by perfumers Antoine Maisondieu and Christophe Renaud. It is £76 for a 60ml Eau de Parfum, which I believe this is. This is the 60ml. And it goes all the way up to £170 for the 150ml EDP. Fragrance fact, the 150ml bottle is really, really cool because it has a digital screen on it, which I think just as a default has the word Moncler scrolling through it, but you can customize it to have your own message on there, which I think is really cool. I'm sort of nerdy about innovative packaging, and I think that's something people haven't really done before. So yeah, very nicely done. I think this bottle is also, it is the one with the digital writing, Gavin, you're correct. But if you're not into that fanciness, you can get the 60ml. It's just this nice flask inspired fragrance, which is very nice. Further sniffing, not technically a vetiver, but with your further sniffing, it's not just about taking the theme more, it's more about if you like this, you will like. And we have included this in our woody box, and that is Post Santal by Miller Harris. This is a lovely, again, nice grassy, fresh, milky, wonderful mineral woody type fragrance. And I probably might have a vetiver note in it. I'll have to refresh my memory, I can't remember. I don't really smell too much vetiver in it, that's what I will say. Okay, so that's fragrances A to D. I think there was a lot of love for B. What was your favourite in the first half? I sniffed it in Halvin Nichols and didn't spot it in the box. Was that the Moncler that you didn't spot in the box? Gavin. So, let's move on. You can tell me what you loved most in the first half whilst I load up the second half. Okay, this one I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys think. Let's move on to E. So, if Fragrance E was a song, what song would it be? Lots of Love for B. Lots of Love for B. Oh, Gavin, it wasn't Moncler. Oh, it's got good spritz to that one. Love a good spray. Okay. Let's give it a sniff. C is the first half fave. Yeah. To me, it would be B for me because I love that fragrance, but C very, very close behind it. Oh, I find this so interesting, this fragrance. I think this one's we picked this because I think it's a really good example of a spicy vetiver. So vetiver has a natural like spicy facet, but it's also very fresh and almost like silvery in my mind. It's got that kind of clear transparency. It's a little bit metallic. I think sometimes spices can have like this freshness to them that feels a little bit metallic. It's really, really, really beautiful. Very suave, has definitely got that anise vibe. So, you know, vetiver can very often have that anise, like licorice vibe, and that's definitely got this. And it goes much more sort of ambery, cinnamony, sort of spiced vanilla in the base, kind of very traditional amber, which is a really nice transition from the freshness of the opening. Ooh, so songs, we've got Bohemian Rhapsody. It's a symphony. I love E. It's like a Spice Bomb. I solely see the Spice Bomb reference, absolutely. E was my fave on the card. Now, we have featured this brand before, and I think we're kind of at a 50-50 hit rate. So we've featured them twice before. The first time, I'm just trying to remember what order we did the boxes in. I think the first time people liked it. The second time it was very divisive, the fragrance was, in the unbox afterwards. If that gives you any hints as to what the brand might be, those of you who've been with us a while. So yes, it's a lovely kind of spicy cinnamon anise licorice vetiver that has kind of a fougere vibe to it because it's quite aromatic, but then goes really lovely warm ambery vanilla kind of pie-like. That's what I say, because you know it always makes me think of apple pie because you've got like that kind of like cinnamon spiced kind of pie vibe in the base with all the vanilla. It's just the way my brain goes. But pie-like doesn't sound very good in marketing copy. Ferragamo. Maybe, maybe not. Goes very coconutty. Interesting. So this one is... This is from Histoires de Parfum. So we have featured them before. We featured them in the tuberose box and in the patchouli box. And this one is $18.99. So if you don't know Histoires de Parfum, they name their fragrances after kind of years. So this is by $18.99, the year. And it is, your fragrance fact, is it's inspired by the City of Lights, Paris, and kind of the artists that frequented the bars there. It is £156 or 120 ml Eau de Parfum. I can't tell you a year that it came out because I think some of Histoires de Parfum's like fragrances don't have a year for some reason on the internet, which is a bit strange. But this is really, really beautiful. Very elegant. I find it quite traditionally masculine as kind of like a fougere style fragrance. So I think it's really lovely. And Histoires de Parfum is a cool brand. They do some really cool stuff. So what did I say? I said everything. Yeah, £156 for 120 ml Eau de Parfum. Further sniffing on this one. It's not £18.99, unfortunately. Spicy vetiver. I think honestly, really, you cannot beat Vetiver Extraordinaire by Edition de Parfum Frédéric Malle. When this came out, it was made with the highest concentration of Vetiver Absolute ever. I don't know if that's still true, but it is so spicy. It's a little bit sexy sort of sweatiness to it, which is lovely, but it's also very well groomed and elegant. It is such a beautiful fragrance. So that's really good if you like spice. If you like that fragrance, you want something that's a nice spicy vetiver, worth trying. It's that one. Okie dokie. We are blazing through these. They do good discovery sets, you are right. There you are right, Gavin. Shall we move on? So that's E. We're on F already. Jeez Louise. So, if Fragrance F was a film, what film would it be? Tell me. We picked this one because it's the cool vetiver, and I'm using cool in kind of two meanings. It is cool, as in it is cooling and cold and fresh, but it's also very modern, and there's something kind of unique about this fragrance. I think it's kind of does a little interesting twist on vetiver, and that's why we picked it, because it's cool. It is a modern cologne with a twist of vetiver and a gourmand edge. I think this is really, really great. I honestly would probably be a little bit weak at the knees if a man wore this around me. I'd be like, hello, sir. What does it smell like? It smells very, very cold up top. It is minty cool. You're absolutely right. It has got that kind of freshness of mint. That it's more herbal mint. Now, mint is a difficult note to do in perfumery because what do we associate mint with? Chewing gum and toothpaste, and nobody really wants to smell like that, so it's really difficult to get mint notes right. This does it right because it goes more herbal with the mint rather than sort of sweet. It's got an anise licorice note in it as well, and then it's kind of blended with lovely sort of orange and bergamot, and there's also this wonderful almond quality to it, which feels kind of crunchy. Like, it feels like you're like crunching almonds. There's a kind of nice aquatic vibe as well. It's very kind of fresh and ozonic, a little bit sea spray like. And the vetiver's there just lurking in the background, and kind of putting that all together, adding some sort of greenery, adding some of that kind of licorice vibe. It doesn't smell probably as natural as some of the other fragrances, but I kind of like that. I feel like it has, I don't know, kind of like a kind of, I don't want to say synthetic is such a negative connotation, but like it's kind of, if you think of the Prada as maybe, you know, a Prada suit made from lovely sort of fabric, this is, you know, something a little bit more modern that's been fashioned from synthetic materials put together. There you go. It's got a cocktail vibe. Yeah, nice mojito. Yeah, I can see the Baccarat Rouge 540 thing going on there. It's the kind of ambroxan aquatic thing. Quite masculine, but I'd like it on someone else. Oceans, Whiff of Aventus. Only a little bit of Aventus, though. Not too much. Something French art house. Brief Encounter, Shipwreck, Terminator. I love all the thoughts. I love where your mind goes, people. I love it. This is a really lovely fragrance. I'm a big fan. It's a tin hat. Maybe. Okay, this fragrance is, fragrance F is L'Homme Idéal Cool by Guerlain. It's an eau de toilette. I could have showed you this one earlier when I said what the Guerlain bottles look like now, but then I would have revealed the fragrance. I actually had to get one off my shelf. This is L'Homme Idéal Cool. It is £51.85 for a 50ml eau de toilette. Fragrance fact. Well, your fragrance fact for this one is not a fact as such, but more of a hunch. I feel like this is a revamped version of another fragrance that Guerlain did a little while back, which was called L'Homme Idéal Cologne. And I feel like this is very, very similar, a little bit more minty. And they relaunched it in 2019. It's by Perfume Thierry Vassin. I think it's lovely. I love Guerlain do this like almond sort of aromatic thing. They've done it in L'Homme Idéal. They did it in La Petite Robe Noire. They did it in Rose Cherie. They do this really lovely juicy almond thing, which I'm just living for. And this one I think is just really, it's nice. It's just, it's sexy. I think this is sexy. I'm the right man. Okay. Aquaman, definitely. Further sniffing, very, very different vibe, but I'm playing on in my head the coolness of vetiver. So actually, that was very, very modern, juicy, fresh, easygoing. This is a little bit more of a cerebral fragrance, but this is a fragrance called Timbuktu by L'Artisan Parfumeur, which is inspired by, I think it's like the practice of like covering yourself in smoke. And it's a smoky vetiver that's very, very cold, but it's cold through smoke rather than sort of mint and juiciness. So very, very different vibe, but interesting if you want something a little bit cooler. So that's Timbuktu, just worth a sniff. And the further sniffing is never mandatory. It's just, if you're interested, do what you want with it. If not, then I'm not going to tell you off. Okay, fragrance G. Can't believe we're near at the end already. Fragrance G. Fragrance G was an outfit. What outfit would it be? Answers in the chat. This one we picked because it's a hidden vetiver, I would say. It is a really good example of vetiver as a supporting act. I also think when you hear the name of this fragrance, you'd be very surprised as to what the name is. You can get L'artisan in the UK. There are certain places you can get it. I think Harrods is one of them. We used to have it in our HBT here in Milton Keynes, and you can get it online. Just in case you didn't know. Chaps with Spurs. I just find this fragrance is so fascinating. It's so many things at once. It's very piney. Does anyone else get that? It's very, very piney. You've got kind of like a nice pine thing going on, but there is a menthol thing there, and then there's a smokiness, but that smokiness is very cool, a little bit sweet, a little bit rosy. I find it really fascinating. The rose feels quite juicy to me. It feels very like all of the different things shouldn't fit together, but they do. I see a lot of people saying like TCP antiseptic. There is definitely that menthol medicinal vibe. Underpants soaked in TCP. That can't be comfortable. Definitely resinous. It feels a little bit sappy to me. There's like that. There's a little bit of sweetness there, so maybe it's that kind of like a pine sap thing going on. I find it really interesting. Did anyone love this one? There's an everything in it. Amouage. It's not actually an amouage, but I totally could go there. If someone put this under my nose, I'd be like, this is probably amouage. This, I will give you a hint. This is the first time we've included this brand in a box, and I believe it's a new brand to Escentual. We've not had it very, very long. Vermouth, yeah. Cherry menthol. Cherries, interesting. Interesting. I hadn't thought cherries, but I can smell that now. The power of suggestion. Of course it happened to you, Gavin. That's the punishment for menaces, and you are, as we know, a menace. Menthol blackberry. Yes, there's definitely like a cassis kind of blackcurrant bud absolute thing going on. Boiled fruit sweets. Really, really bizarre, isn't it? It's an interesting fragrance, and the vetiver is there in the background, and I think it's amplifying that kind of grassy pine vibe. Really, really interesting. So the fragrance is, and I will reveal it, it's a new brand, as I said, for us. It is a brand called ZARKOPERFUME. I'll hold that up because it's a little bit difficult to say. So it's ZARKOPERFUME, and this is called Oud-Couture. Even though it doesn't smell very oudy, this came out in 2016, and this is £95 for 100ml Eau de Parfum. Your fragrance fact: the fragrance was the brand was founded by a gentleman called Žarko Pavlov, who is Denmark's only practicing perfumer. There you go. I'll be honest, I don't have any further sniffing for this one because it is so weird and unique. So there you go. You just have to find your own on this one. Interesting, interesting fragrance. But it doesn't feel very oody to me. Okay, let's finish off with H. I love H. H is pretty sexy, I'm not gonna lie. This is some good stuff. This is some good stuff. And this is from a brand who I think are constantly underrated. And we've put them in a box a couple of times, more than a couple of times. And every time we've done it, people have loved the fragrances. And I feel like they still are a little bit of a hidden gem of a brand. That's not a clue. Or is it? When they're even available in the department stores, you can get them everywhere, So, this is the Earthy Vetiver. If it was a colour, what colour would it be? That is your question. We've picked this fragrance because it showcases the earth facets of vetiver. Oh, I think this is just marvellous. It's marvellous, marvellous stuff. It starts with this lovely citrus accord. It's a little bit orangey, so it's not kind of like bergamot lemon, it's orange. And then you have this wonderful, smoky, tarry, kind of resinous feel to it. And the vetiver to me is there, and it's front and centre, and it's beautifully salty and dry. And it's just kind of bringing out the facets of vetiver that you smell not from the materials, but from the grass itself, from the dried grass. Does it smell of labdanum to anyone? Tam, I totally can see the labdanum in there. It's that resinous, kind of warm, there's a little bit of sweetness in there. Totally get that. Golden yellow, navy blue, purple. I love it. See how amazing that we see that with such different colours in our minds. Dark red, all the way to the kind of navy blue, purple. Red clay. So red clay is what I would see in my mind, but that doesn't mean that I'm more than right than anyone else. But totally, I agree with that. Rhubarb, says Jack. Now that's interesting. I can see what you mean. I think maybe that's because they use a lot of materials that kind of smell like rhubarb to amplify citrus notes. So lots of grapefruit notes, and citrus of course will have a kind of, I can't remember, it's like Rubifix or something, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a material that kind of smells like that really kind of almost like nose singeingly kind of bright rhubarby facet. That if you ever boil rhubarb, it just kind of fills the room. And they use that to amplify citrus. I think that's probably what they've done here. Ooh, car ceramic diffuser. Can we talk about car scents for a while? Do you know what I have in my car? I have the Aqua de Parma Colonia little car like thing. It's like a yellow leather thing. It is beautiful. And the smell in my car it's just amazing. And because I've got an electric car, I can pre-condition it. So when it's really, really hot, I will set the air conditioning on, so when I get in the car, I'm greeted by a cool car. And the smell of like Aqua de Parma Colonia coming from like the air vents is like honestly heaven. Metallic grey, prunes with resinous. It's such a fascinating fragrance, this. Moving away from car fragrances to back to the fragrance we're talking about. Really, really lovely. I like the leatheriness. I like the smoke. I like the mineral. I think the vetiver, like saltiness of the vetiver is really, really beautiful. The citrus kind of essence in there is really, really, really bold and lovely. Are we not buying vanilla trees anymore? No, we are not. Well, I'm not. Nigel, my husband, had a Jelly Belly thing in his car for a while, and that was sinful. We did not like that. Okay, shall we tell you what this fragrance is? Last reveal. Fragrance H. So it is from Bvlgari. It is Bvlgari Man Terrae Essence. I'll hold it up so you can see Terrae Essence, Bvlgari Man. That's £58.65 for a 60ml Eau de Parfum, or £81.60 for a 100ml Eau de Parfum. Came out last year. Perfume is Alberto Morelas. You will know him from creating fragrances like CK1 and basically anything Gucci has done in the last 10 years. Oud-Couture. It could be Oud-Couture, Kirsten, actually. That is very rhubarby. Yeah, this is really, really beautiful. I think this is lovely. The whole Bvlgari Man line is really, really nice. We did one in the Tuberose box, or the Iris box. I don't know. I think we did one. We did the Bvlgari Man in black, which everybody loved. I think it was Iris, right? I can't even remember. But this is the Terrae Essence. It's got a lovely little marble sort of finish there. This is really, really good. A couple of sprays of this, and you're just like the sexiest person in the world. That's what I think, anyway. Further sniffing on this one is another Terre, and that is Terre d'Hermès by Hermès. And this is a lovely vetiver with mineral kind of facets, orange and like woodiness. It feels like clay as well, so really, really beautiful. If you want to try and explore something similar, Terre d'Hermès. Still obsessed with Bvlgari Man in black. Any other box? Didn't know it was a Bvlgari Man, but here we are. Well, there you go. We can all be Bvlgari men if we want to be. We never would have guessed it was men smelled lovely. And that's the wonderful thing about the I never would have guessed it was for men. It smelled lovely on me, says Sarah. That's the wonderful thing about these boxes, is it takes that whole kind of gender construct out of it. And if you like the smell of it and it smells good on you, then why not? I think this would be beautiful on anybody. It was Gorge Iris box. It was Iris box. I bought this recently and didn't recognise it, even though I smelt it. I thought I smelt it before. The blind sniffing stuff can really, really throw you. So don't worry about it if you don't remember anything, reminds you of something. My brain is melting. If you already know the fragrance but don't recognise it, don't worry. It happens to me. The Eau de Vetiver from Terre d'Hermès, yeah, the new flanker is nice. It's very green and basil-y. I liked that. Yeah, it's very good. Okay, shall I do a quick recap? So fragrance A was our wonderfully sort of jungly fresh Nerolia Vetiver by GUERLAIN. We followed that up by the lovely soapy refined zingy ginger Infusion Vetiver by Prada. Then we went a little bit more smoky, nutty, oaty, resinous, vanilla-ish with our Vetiver Insolent by Miller Harris. Great in summer. I love that. Then we went a little bit more modern, kind of fresh, woody, kind of cool with the wonderful Moncler bottom. Then spicy, fresh, fougere, masculine, wonderful 1899. Don't get this mixed up with 1889. They do have an 1889 and an 1899. This is 1899. It's 10 years younger. Then we went a little bit more gourmand, a little bit more minty, a little more fresh, a little more cool, a little bit more just sexy with L'Homme Ideal. Cool. Then we went fully weird for a Vetiver in the background with the ZARKOPERFUME Oud-Couture. And then we finished very, very strong, I must say, on the rather handsome, sexy, gorgeous Terrae Essence Bvlgari Man. There you go. Bergamot. Bergamot. Yes, so the Bergamot box is our next box. It is on sale. What can you expect from that? So I think we were really conscious with the Bergamot box to show you... There's only so many ways you can smell bergamot, right? In the sense of you're not going to get 8 fragrances that smell just like bergamot, because that would be really, really boring. So what you've got is lots of fragrances that use bergamot in interesting ways, because bergamot is used probably in 6 of these 8 fragrances. There is a bergamot note. It's so prevalent in perfumery. So it was kind of fun to put that box together because there's so many different ways that we could take it. So you'll obviously get some fragrances that smell like bergamot in there, so you can have an idea of what the material smells like. But you will get some nice, interesting twists somewhere. It's not actually really in the foreground and it's more just an accent, and I think that would be really, really lovely. Further sniffing for E. A, B, C, D, E. That was, the further sniffing was Vetiver Extraordinaire by Editions de Parfum Frederic Malle. Lovely, spicy Vetiver. Love that stuff. You've ordered bergamot today. Need to go. Goodbye, Judy. Lovely. Okay, I think that's it from me, guys. I will see you again for bergamot in a month's time. I hope you will have a lovely July, and I will see you soon. Bye.